Okay, today we're going to talk about standard form. So at this point, you should know what slope-intercept form is. You should know what point slope, and this third type is standard. So the third method for writing a linear equation is called standard form. And unlike slope-intercept form and point slope form, neither the slope or the y-intercept is explicitly written in the equation, right? Because when we talk about slope-intercept, it gets that name because we can see the slope and the y-intercept within the equation. And for point slope, we can see a point from the line and the slope of the line in the equation. We don't have either one of those things occurring in the standard form. So just a reminder, slope-intercept form, y equals mx plus b, where m is the slope and b is the y-intercept. Point slope form, y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1, where m is the slope and x1 and y1 is a point on the line that's provided to you. So standard form is ax plus by equals c. And then there's rules that must be adhered to in order to be considered in standard form. So a, b, and c must be integer numbers. I'm just going to say integers. So you can't have half, you can't have a decimal, you can't have any type of fractions. They need to be integers. And a must be greater than 0, right? It's how we would write it in math, but when you think about it, any number greater than 0 is going to be positive. Okay, so a must be positive. And that's just like the formula or the basics of standard form. Let's move on to the second page where we're going to practice converting between something into standard form and converting from standard form to slope-intercept. So how do we move from slope-intercept form to standard form? In all three of these situations, we're going to use our 5 steps for solving equations. Our rewind step mostly, but sometimes our distributive step to help us get whatever we need in the order in which we need it. So slope-intercept, y equals 2/3 x plus y, and I want to get this to standard form. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get rid of that fraction. And the way I'm going to do that is I'm going to multiply the whole thing by 3. And why 3? Because 3 is the denominator. So I'm okay with having a whole number left behind. I just don't want the denominator at all, right? Because I'm not allowed to have fractions in standard form. So when I do that, 3 times y is going to be 3y equal 2/3 times 3. The 3's will simplify out. I'm going to be left with 2x. And 4 times 3 is 12. So now I want to get my x and the y on the same side for standard form. So I'm going to subtract 2x from both sides, giving me negative 2x plus 3y equals 12. And you might think that you're done, but you're not, because we're not allowed to have a negative a. So I'm going to come back up here. So now I'm going to multiply the whole thing by negative 1. And remember, the golden rule states that as long as you do something, if you do something to one side, as long as you do it to the other side, then you're good. So by multiplying everything by negative 1, we're good. Actually, forgot that was still negative 2x. That's why I'm multiplying by negative 1. And we should know when we multiply by a negative, 2 negatives make a positive. We're left with negative 2x minus 3y equals negative 12. And let's talk about point slope form to standard. So first thing I'm going to do is get rid of that distributive property. So this is still going to be y minus 2 on this side, and then 3 times x is 3x, and 3 times negative 5 is negative 15. And then because I'm looking to move to standard form, it's not about getting y by itself. I need to get x and y on one side and all the fixed numbers on the other. So I'm going to add 2 to both sides to get y equal to 3x minus 13. And then you can already tell we're going to have the same situation with the x when we subtract 3x from both sides. We're going to wind up with a negative a, and we're not allowed to have that in standard form. So we'll have negative 3x plus y equals negative 13. And same thing as we did before, we're going to multiply the whole thing by negative 1. By doing this, we flip the sign of every term in the equation. So 3x minus y equals positive 13. Okay, so it's kind of like, a little bit like chess, like where can I move something, where can I replace something? And then lastly, standard form to slope-intercept. We should know by now y equals what? Hopefully in your head you're saying mx plus b. If not, you better go home and practice that because you definitely should know that by now. So essentially I want to isolate the y, so I'm going to get rid of the x. So I'm going to minus 4x from both sides. And I get 3y equals negative 4x minus 6. And then, of course, I need to divide both sides by 3, and not just one part of this side, but every term on this side needs to be divided by 3. So y equals 4 over 3 is not going to simplify pretty, so I'm going to leave it as negative 4/3. And negative 6 divided by 3 is 2. And that's it. That is standard form. And then you have 2 GPs to do. The first one asks you to convert the equation on the left into standard form. And then you're going to convert standard form into slope-intercept.